What's up, guys? Welcome back to the More Than a Minute podcast. Our guest today is a young man who was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona. At only 21 years of age, he has the passion for God and the passion to help churches improve their media, photos, sound systems, and their online streams. He was always my go-to guy when I just can't figure things out. When my age starts showing, he's the person that I'm going to. And so he helps me stay versed with technologies, and he's helped me a lot. He currently serves as the creative director at Way of Life Church in South Phoenix and continues to stay busy with his photography and videography business, as well as his own digital media consultant business. We'd like to welcome our special guest today, Ismael Paramo.
Thank you. That right? You did, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought you were about to start rapping right now.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it sounds like it.
I thought you were about to throw bars here and there. I'm like, dang.
I just might.
Every time I go somewhere, I'm going to say, this is what I do. And just have you rap it all.
Hey, we do. I could do a little soundtrack, when he walks on stage, ladies and gents.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for coming. So my wife was like, he's from Phoenix, so I got to bring out the Phoenix hat. You know what I'm saying? Represent.
Yes, sir. South side.
South side. Well, I'm from the west side, but but still. Okay. So this is a question that we wanted to ask every single guest that comes on. Yes. And I want to see what you say. Okay. But who is Ismael Paramo?
Ah, man. That one's a tough one. I ask myself the same question all the time. I mean, I think it's good to ask yourself, who are you? And lately it's been like, even when a question with me and my mom, like, who are you? For me, I'm just short and simple and just a servant of the Lord. I try to be. Right. I try to be my best. Just a 21-year-old that is just looking to help others out, whether it's church-wise, even business-wise, or even just trying to figure out life. I don't have all the answers, but I can help you with some answers.
Yeah.
But I know the answer, so that's about it. So that's really Ishmael, is just someone that likes helping people out.
So earlier in my intro, I forgot to mention that you went to Ignite School of Ministry.
Yes, sir.
Well, what is that? What age did you get involved in that?
Ignite School of Ministry it basically goes off that verse of 1 Timothy 4:12, like for the youth. And really that's kind of where I started everything from there. Like I went through that program and it has taught me how to seek the Lord, how to have a passion for him. Yeah, I had help. You get help from guidance, but everyone there is to help you realize what your purpose is here for.
One thing that I heard about Ignite School of Ministry, it's not just a regular school for kids. It's not just a club, a program where throw a bunch of teenagers together. Hey, we're going to learn about the Word of God. No, they get serious.
Yeah, it's very intensive. Yeah.
One thing I heard is that they take away your phones, right? So you're pretty much completely secluded from technology.
Yeah. They do. I would say yes, but it's really more in the summer program.
The summer program, okay.
So not like during the school of ministry part. There's like for me as a techie guy, who that was kind of hard because I first did the summer internship program and they took the whole phone away. No technology really.
Yeah.
And you could imagine me I need a phone, I need a laptop, I need something.
Yeah.
But honestly, it felt pretty great. They do that because it honestly challenges you a little bit to not rely on those things. I tend to, even in my work profession, I rely on a lot of social media,
right,
phone. But it also gives me a chance to realize, to live with other people in the moment and to how to seek the Lord and His Word when you don't have online.
Right.
So you have to go in through the Word manually and actually use it because we have the Bible app. You could you forget a verse, just look up, part of it. But when you're in school summer internship, it's like, no, let's look into it.
And I've actually heard this before that you could actually remember more information if you take more effort into trying to gain it. So they say, as soon as we Google, you ever Google some and then you literally just forget seconds, what you Googled and what the answer was. But if you go back in the day, they actually go to these libraries, had to look up information. They had to study their scriptures. They couldn't just use Google's. And so they were able to memorize things better than we can. And I think sometimes technology can be a problem, right? Because I remember even sometimes reading my Bible and getting notifications. I get a text message and then next thing you know, I'm doing something else than reading my Bible. So I think it's good though to pull you out of that? Even for us adults to be pulled out of that and just, so we could just focus on the Word of God.
Definitely.
Okay, so one thing that we know, and like Isaac mentioned about you, is that you're into like media stuff. So you're into photography and videography and sound engineering. How did you get started with that? Like, what got you into it?
It actually runs in the family. My mom, when she was younger in Mexico, she used to work for Kodak developing film. Then my dad, even when he was younger, he used to work for an embroidery shop, embroidering shirts, hats, you name it. Stuff like that. And then when it came to the States, then my sister was born in her teen years. She liked photography. Then right when I was a baby, our family had cameras around. So I was always holding a camera, just going around recording, taking pictures of random stuff. Then eventually I just, when I got to around like 14, I really started taking it more serious. Okay. On the terms of photography wise and video wise a little bit too. That was like my gamer phase too. I was trying to be a YouTuber back in the day. So all that kind of just inspired that passion with photography and video wise. Now you get started into like doing media for like events, churches, sound wise. That was actually inspired by being at my local church. My family, they had it's in our church at Whale Life Church, it's Samaritan Food House Ministry. Okay. Or which you probably know it as our food distribution services. Right. When my mom was starting that back in the day, there was like really no one to help with sound or like media wise, because all the regular people, they just couldn't make it because of work wise. And since my mom was leading that and I was her son, it's like, hey, why not just learn, get involved. And lucky enough, my cousin Miguel, who was a media director and still is.
Wait, that's your cousin, Miguel?
Yeah, Miguel's my cousin. That. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Miguel, my cousin, he was a media director, and I was like, well, I'm already here Saturdays learning this. Why not just help you on Sundays? Right. Just like I made that connection, and from there I started doing lyrics with Pro Presenter. Well, first it was Easy Worship, then it went to Pro Presenter. Yeah. I got taught by a few guys. Then I was already there. I was like, well, might as well learn sound. Right. So we had a good sound guy named Carlos. We had his own studio.
Carlos. Shout out Carlos.
Carlos Ramirez. Yeah. He was a great sound tech. He taught me, I just saw and learned. Then from there, I did learn the live stream. Then that's how I kind of just took over and just had the passion for all of it, really. Yeah. And now I just I'm the media director. You are. At the Whale Life Church, overseeing everything and slowly teaching other people too. And that's how all of it just comes together. Like it runs in the family, even with my cousin. Yeah. It just has been poured into me, and I just kind of took it and just ran with it.
And it also got you involved into church. Would you say that being involved in church kept you out of trouble because you're busy and you have something to do and something to look forward to?
I think it has a big play. Okay. I wouldn't say it has kept me out of trouble.
Still got into some trouble.
I still got into trouble. I mean, matter of fact, we have this joke in my family where I think even still at this day, I think I was the worst troublemaker in our church. Oh, wow. You have kids running around in our church right now, which we love. I love that quote from Pastor Burke. He says, like, if you have kids running around, it means that, the church is alive. But if you don't have kids running around, then it seems like it might be boring, a little dead. So we kind of love kids running around, but I don't think they would love me around if I was a kid. Like one of the worst stories, I don't think it's bad, but I think it kind of helped me learn a little, is that one day I was a troublemaker. So we had the pews, sorry. And under the pews at church, I would go around because my parents were in the front and my cousin Miguel's wife, Leslie, was in the back, and so every Sunday she had a Hot Wheels toy for me. So
a new one, or just a random one?
A new one. They would always give me a new one. So I would crawl under the benches, under the pews, to go see them because I didn't want to go get up. I felt like it was embarrassing. So as a kid, but on the way over there, I would tie people's shoes. So I would tie people's shoes together. I didn't even know how to tie my own shoes. Okay. So it just worked. So when it comes right for altar time, you get up and you go to the altar. So you had people like almost stumbling,
falling over.
They weren't falling for the Holy Ghost. They were falling because they were tripping.
Ismael.
It was pretty bad, man. It was
Yeah.
pretty bad, and it got to a point where there was an usher who got tired, and he got me and just gave me a little spank.
He spanks you?
But luckily that brother, he was a pretty good,
Oh, my.
like a family friend. Back then, it was like everyone knew each other, and
Yeah.
but I heard it was kind of embarrassing for him. I mean, my mom kind of agrees with him doing that because I was a troublemaker, always hitting people too, and but growing up, that has taught me, how to learn. I learned a lot from the church, the discipline, and
Right.
but I was always a troublemaker, so I learned it at I was a troublemaker at church, but I learned how to be disciplined at the church.
And I never would have thought that about you because I guess I seen the when you were at your best, I guess. So to speak.
That's like the most. That's my highlight reel, but no one sees the behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So I mean, I was a troublemaker at church, but yeah.
So you grew up in church?
I grew up in church. Yeah,
Okay.
I grew up my whole life, born and raised in church.
Same here, man.
So
So this is always like interesting for me. Sometimes I can't pinpoint when I came to Christ. There's people like, oh, I was on drugs or I was doing this, and then I came to church, and on October 3rd of 2000 or 19 or whatever, I came to Christ, and it's like, no, as a church kid, I came to Christ so many times.
yeah.
Was that a similar experience to you? Like when you get serious and then you mess up, and then you get serious.
Yeah. I mean, I can only recall like 3 clear points. I don't remember like when I was a kid, 7 years old. I really don't remember that. And I mean, I remember going to like church and all that, but I never like a full on, all right, I'm going to try to seek the Lord. I only remember 3 times I did that. Well, the first time was in a youth convention.
Okay.
When Mo Ubaldo was still leading that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was in 2014. So right around when I started joining the church more often, right in that year, I went to youth convention, and that's when I kind of gave my life to Christ. I don't remember too much,
Right.
but I remember just, you know what, I'm going to try to seek the Lord.
Right.
And from there, it just kind of went away. Then it came back to another time, a moment at church. Then it kind of got lost there, kind of really didn't pursue after. Then like a few years later, around 2017, when Ignite came in, that's when I fully, all right, no turning back.
Okay.
And after that, it was like, there's only 3 clear points. I remember that, but after that, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you this question because you're a young man, teenager involved in your local church. How important do you think it is for young people to get involved in church?
Yeah. And it pertains to me, like, youth getting involved in the church, because right in the world, you get so many options, you get so many offers.
Yeah.
And the same thing for me, like when I was growing up, like I wanted to do soccer professionally. I had the option to do it. And every time I kept thinking about it, I was like, well, I want to do this, get involved in an area. And I was like, but if I get involved in like soccer, I could get better opportunities, that a church may not offer. But I think it's important to join the church. And the reason why I kind of just stepped away from other opportunities, like joining soccer and all that, it's not because I didn't make the cut.
Okay.
But I mean, I could have made the cut, but I wanted.
So you're saying he's good, but you didn't want to go that route.
I'm good. He's just a coach.
Yeah,
I have some beef.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's like when I thought about it, I was like, man, if I join soccer more like on a high school level, I was like, it's gonna take me away from church, and I didn't want to. I wanted to stay in church not because of just my background, because I like the opportunity it's giving me, being more involved in like that. You could say the career field, the field I want to join in.
Yeah.
Better at the time, because even then, like church, like as a youth getting involved in church, we were like, I think many youth realize it's like boring. It could be like, man, the church doesn't provide anything; it's just preaching all the time. But I think it's when you get more involved, and it's different.
Okay.
Because that's why I kind of had thought about too. It's like, man, just preaching. But when I got involved with media and sound, I was like, well, it's actually a little bit more about that. You get to learn. Like even like now, everyone wants to learn how to do sound.
Yeah.
You don't want to become a mixer. Don't become the next TikTok rapper
Yeah,
or
video editor.
editor.
Yeah.
I was like, if you get involved with church, like that's like I call it free real estate.
Free training.
Yeah, it's free training. You're getting basically clients.
Yeah.
To learn at. The church, they're willingly to accept anyone.
Right.
to help them out. So like,
and a lot of churches need help.
yeah. So it's like when someone's like, man, I want to help someone. I'm like, I don't know where to help.
Yeah.
Go to your local church.
You see, and this is something like I feel like it's important for young people to get involved in, but also that there's a lot of opportunity in churches because they need help. Like there's so many things, because I've been rapping for many years since I was a teenager. Had I not been in church, I would have not have been able to travel to a lot of cities and states. Went to Romania one time, got to rap out there, be on the radio station. There's so many opportunities that I got and so many skills that I learned from being in church and getting involved when I was young.
Yeah, and that's the same thing for me. Like, I didn't realize, right, even when I got involved with church, like even through the Ignite School of Ministry, that's how I kind of led there. Yeah. I traveled literally almost all United States.
That's crazy.
Went to the Dominican Republic. So I think it's important for youth not to just as well. I think it's important for their faith-wise to like get rooted, not just in the church, but in the word. Mm-hmm. But I think the church is going to help them out as a community.
Okay.
But I think it's important because, just opportunities that you don't know you might get. Like you might get the next best singer.
Yeah.
You might get the next. I think it's funny, right? Like as a tech guy, you have all these mega churches. A lot of people like try to like, man, they're not good. But a lot of good has actually came out of some of those mega churches. Mm-hmm. I can tell you stories about sound engineers. One of them worked at Joel Osteen's church, and he later got contracted to do like all these other churches for his own from his own company, and he learned a lot from Joel Osteen's church.
Oh, wow.
You hear countless of stories of even like I could go name many stories. Like there's a lot of guys who just got started in churches.
Yeah.
They grew, they made their own businesses, and now people from the world are seeking their services. But I think, right, we say like the church should be in the front. And I think youth, like whether if they want to get involved in like, people from I will say secular or worldwide, I think getting involved with the church will help you a lot get those experiences.
Yeah.
Even customer service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in church, you get taught how to treat others,
right.
how you want to be treated, and that's how you get great customer services.
Yeah, and even helps you spiritually as well.
Like spiritually is the main part.
Yeah.
Like that's like I think like everyone knows like no giving is like already spiritual wise is gonna help you out so many, but like there's so many add-ons too.
Yeah,
and youth don't realize it. They just say, oh, spiritual wise, not too much.
Yeah,
but I mean, when you do both, you're gonna reap the benefits that the Lord wants to give. I think the gifts, I think the Lord has given those gifts. Like, man, I have provided the church for you guys to get many opportunities.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's now just trying to take it. I wouldn't say advantage, but being good steward of those opportunities. Mm-hmm. So for youth to get involved in church, I think it's highly important to learn spiritually wise about the Word of God for their life, to learn great morals and values. And as well, just if they don't know what to do, I think getting involved somewhere is important. So if they don't want to get involved somewhere, or I would say if you don't want to get a job somewhere, or just volunteer at your local church, you might never know what might happen.
Never know what happens.
You never know what might happen. Like for example, I'm gonna go on this one. ProPresenter set like that lyric software.
Yeah.
Came from a church called Passion Church. They hold that big conference every year.
Oh,
Passion conference. That came from one guy at his local church trying to fit a need. Like, how do you do lyrics for the like big conferences? There was nothing yet. Now, ProPresenter 7 is used in almost every mega event, football stadium.
It's just like standard.
It's the standard software now for like. So imagine, not a lot of people know that. Like, and a lot of these like football stadiums, NBA and all that, they don't know that software came from a Christian background.
Crazy. I didn't know that either.
So people, you never know what might happen. You get involved in a church, and you never know what the Lord will do and take you from there.
So was there ever a time where, especially growing up in church and getting involved at a young age, was there ever a time that you felt like helping in the church kind of kept you in the church?
Yeah.
As opposed to kind of throughout your life being able to walk away?
It did help out. So around like the age of like 12 to 14, like a background on my story, my family history is that's when my parents were getting divorced. So it was kind of heartbreaking because my mom was really involved in the church. I thought my family was great, Christian family. You know, we were all involved, and even myself trying to get involved with media and all this. And it kind of just broke me into pieces. I'm like, man, what do I do? As a 12-year-old all the way to 16 years, I was like, I don't know what to do with my life. So, but I was like, all I knew was like, all right, I know I want to help within the church still. So it kind of helped me stay within the church. I wasn't reading my Bible as much during that time. I would say, if not, and none. But going to church all the time, it just made me hear the word. Help people knew at church what was going on, so they would always pray for me. So it kind of did keep me within the church when I could have easily gone, and you know what, forget about it. Just, I'm going to do my own thing. Which I often think most of the time, like, man, what would I be doing if I was not involved?
Yeah.
I was like, sometimes, I was like, well, if I was not involved and, my family just took a right turn and just left the Lord, would I probably had a kid at a young age?
Right.
Would I have been stuck to drugs? Would I something that's I think about that sometimes, and that's why I'm kind of grateful for the Lord. Not kind of, I am grateful for the Lord, because I'm like, he provided ways like that to get connected within the church, and that church, I use that as an escape to escape. I wasn't perfect. I was horrible. But there was that escape of all right, I could escape to church.
Yeah.
And now they say that I live at church.
Yeah.
You found a home there.
I found a home.
You got a couch in the sound area.
I have a couch. Honestly, at church, we just need a shower, and I'll be living there 24/7.
And I think it's very important. I heard Steve Furtick say this, is that we got to be careful what we run to, because what you run to can run you.
Definitely.
And if you're running to the wrong things, that's going to overtake you. But if you're running to God, that's the best person to go to. Yeah,
and I would even say, even with media, it was running my life. Media was, not the church. The media stuff was running my life. But I would say that's where I kind of the Lord kind of was working within there.
Okay.
Because he was like, well, it's not media running. It has to be me. And which I still learn to this day. I'm still trying to learn, because every day I still need it. Because sometimes I'm like, man, I get caught up with media. But I was like, no, the Lord is like, remember, it has to be me that you're running to, not media wise.
Yeah.
So that's where it kind of had taught me too, I'm running to media, but am I running to media, or am I running to serve and seek after the Lord? So that's where I kind of learned from that. So
I feel like every generation does better than the last, right? Things are constantly improving, from boomers, Gen X, millennials, and now we have Gen Z on the scene and on the rise. So what do you think Gen Z can do better than previous generations? And what do you think that some of the previous generations could have done better? I think they're pretty not near each other. They're different on the different end of the scales. I think Gen Z, and I think not just Gen Z, but when it came to millennials and boomers, when they were on the rise, how Gen Z is on the rise now, I think I have this motto within myself, is that youth run the culture. And it's Gen Z right now, and you've seen it before at previous generations, that the youth always run the culture, from their current culture and even the previous cultures. But back then, it was always a little bit harder with the rise of social media. It was kind of getting there. So for the youth to get their word out was not as prevalent or as much. But now with Gen Z, we have access to literally everything. From the tips of our phones, the Gen Z can change the culture within themselves and all the previous generations quicker and faster, and even more, probably even more meaningful than previous generations. So Gen Z has I wouldn't say just an advantage, but a massive, ginormous advantage of reaching generations and changing their culture too. Yeah. Because we see that right now too with millennials, and they're changing a lot of things because they didn't have access to that, right? Yeah. And this kind of goes to the other question is what could previous generations have done better? And my conversations that I have with a lot of people on the older side is that
they said, man, back in my day, we didn't have access to what you have access now.
Right.
Whether
we had some of it.
We had some, but not like attainable. Like
it's not like
from your home.
I feel like it depends because so like him, he grew up with internet.
Yeah.
I never had a phone with internet until I was like 17. And in my house, we didn't have internet at all. Yeah. We had cable for like a small number of years and that was it. Like we had nothing.
Yeah.
So I didn't really ever have regular internet access until I met him and I was like 17.
I grew up on internet.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like you get both sides of that. Some people had access to it and some people don't. Cause I know other people that didn't either.
Like for instance, when I was in high school, half of everybody had flip phones and the other people had smartphones.
Yeah.
It was still mixed, but now everybody...
iPod or really came out and then you had the iPhone.
Yeah. Because when I was like 13, the first iPhone came out. So by the time I was in high school, it was like mixed.
Yeah.
And then people were wearing like... Half people were wearing baggies, the other people were wearing skinny jeans, and you know what I mean. So like, I feel like we even kind of grew up like when everything was still kind of evolving and changing. We had social media, but it's not like how it is now. Like for instance, like when Michael Jackson passed away, I remember being tripping out that within hours the whole world knew, right?
Yeah.
Because of MySpace, Facebook, or whatever they had at the time. But now people can find out world news in seconds.
Yeah.
Literally seconds.
Definitely.
Like I get my news from a fish on TikTok. You know what I mean, but I get it fast, and it's like it's just crazy like nowadays how far our reach can go now.
Definitely. And it's like on that question, it's like kind of mixture, but even then, like for when I had this conversation with an older gentleman, he said even when it comes to mental health wise, back then people didn't know like, oh, it's like you're just something wrong with you.
Yeah, like it wasn't a thing yet.
It wasn't a thing. And I think we probably have created too much mental health names. That's kind of my opinion. Like we just put mental health on everything.
He's right.
I feel like we do that, but sometimes, I have this conversation with my mom. It's like, she even corrects me. It's like, that's not a mental health thing. Even as Christians, like that's a spiritual thing too. We can't forget about the spiritual side.
Right.
It might not be mental health, but it might actually be something spiritual wise.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people on the secular wise, they don't know it's something spiritual. They just put, it's a mental health problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I think, so that's kind of like the differences that we all have. Like on the older side, previous generations, they didn't have access. So they just said to like mental health therapist, and they weren't as open to it. I would say is more acceptable,
right.
Seeking help. It's still a little rough, but I feel like within more my generation, I mean, from the sounds of it and from the feels of it, like even myself, like I'm open to go talk to a therapist if I need to. I'm willing to go seek help from a counselor. And I think because when we realize is that we just can't do it by ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm a person that tries to do it by myself, but like
same here. Yeah.
If I know I need help, I'm gonna have to go seek someone who has gone through it or currently going through it to see how we could work each other out and help each other. And that's why there's therapists.
And that's what I've noticed about Gen Z is that you guys are open to therapists. I noticed that a lot of them, it seems like even with getting fit and staying healthy, like it's big on, I'm not saying that it wasn't for millennials. It was, but it wasn't like how it is now. It seems like I go to the gym, so all kinds of young people exercising and working out. So it's like Gen Z is definitely different. And I do think that Gen Z is going to impact this generation, their generations, but the generations to come, and even millennials and older people. As long as we're open for it, we got to be open for it, right? Yeah. Especially me being older. But it's like, I think that Gen Z has a lot to offer. They're creative. They have good ideas. There's stuff that they post on TikTok. I'm like, I didn't even think about doing that.
Yeah.
We saw a TikTok you did. I mean, I wish we had the video so we could play it. Man. But it was just funny. But it was you driving in a car and you're just like when church girls getting ready to go to church on Sunday morning or something.
Just stating facts.
Yeah. And I was just like, how do you even think about that? It was funny.
But it's even there, like, right, TikTok.
It
didn't come from a Gen Z perspective. It came from a millennial.
Yeah.
But to reach the Gen Z, and Gen Z took over now, like everyone and their grandma's on TikTok.
Yeah. But I feel like Gen Z and millennials are like, I feel like they have that sibling relationship.
Yeah, I think it's like the bigger brother, small sibling.
Yeah, you're 21. I just turned 29.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like I did grow up with these technologies, but it wasn't accepted and embraced. Yeah. like even like rapping, mid 2000s, early 10s, it was still being accepted among the churches. So so I remember going to a youth convention one time, or youth camp actually. I came in, I was all excited, bro. I went in, I was probably like 14 or 15 years old. I was wearing a bandana and I had a hat over, right? I looked like a thug, you know. Thought the Island Boys were
I think that's your problem, man.
So anyway, I walked in, and as soon as I walk in, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go sit in the front or middle. So, you know, in the front. So I went over there and some leader stopped me and said, hey, bro, take off your hat.
Oh, man.
And I ain't gonna lie, like I could have responded more maturely, but then again, I was a teenager. But it's just like, I felt like I came in as who I am, and I feel like I didn't feel accepted. And so I was just like, I took off my hat, but I ended up just going in the back and just not being excited anymore. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so different now, because then you see Gen Z on stage with their hats. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't necessarily think that's a problem with that. But I feel like it is a good time to be in. But it also be some bad thing as well, which brings me to my next question is, from your perspective, what are some of the biggest challenges Gen Z faces both in the secular world and inside the church?
I think kind of the whole prevalent question is like just that being able to access literally almost anything.
Could be a bad thing.
It could be a bad thing. You hear countless of stories like, you know, there's a lot of people, Gen Z, right? Suicidal, always comparing to each other. We constantly try to flex a lot. I mean, it happens a lot in everyone.
Guess it's true, yeah.
But I think maybe you kind of see that more in Gen Z. Obviously, we get all the access to everything. There's always the, I mean, you go to high schools, you know, a lot of them, you know, they go to party easily, or they drink a lot often. So that's like kind of the problem. But a lot of that stuff kind of gets influenced with social media and just media as a whole. Because we have so much access to it. We see stuff, whatever bad stuff we see, we produce.
Okay.
And that kind of goes on the spiritual side too. Because with Gen Z, like having so many access, that kind of takes them away from the church, spiritual wise, and kind of like, right, a lot of them are hearing, not everyone hears, but like a lot of songs that are out there, right? You have, you know, talking about sex and drugs and alcohol and people trying to kill themselves, which a lot of people, they hear that because that's what they're feeling, that's what they're wanting, and not because some people just don't like it, but that's what they feel like. You know, music is an expression of what they feel inside, and a lot of the songs are about killing themselves too, and people like just feel like killing themselves. So that has a bad aspect, and that pulls them away from the church. And even you hear it, you go on, you probably have seen it. There's countless videos of people trying to bash the church. You know, one person ruins it, and then they think, all right, church is bad for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's simply just not the answer to all the church, right? You say it's kind of saying one rap artist is bad, rap is bad.
Yeah.
It's not the same, like that person doesn't speak for everyone. So it's, but seeing those videos can kind of diminish or make people not want to go to church. There's countless of videos I've seen like, oh, churches should have that kind of budget on something. And people are like, this is why I don't like going to church.
Yeah, I see that a lot.
It's just one small little thing, like, so it made me so innocent too.
Yeah.
And like the church is probably a really good church, probably sound doctrine and really great, but like something so out of like misleading can ruin like a whole person's perspective about church. You know, even our churches, people say, oh, I feel like this is a bunch of cliques. But I mean, within the church community, I don't doubt you're going to fit in with everyone.
Right.
Like,
absolutely.
Like language barrier is one of them.
Yeah.
Like if you're an English person, like I heard this one time, like, man, I thought the church was always like cliques. I was like, well, like what church did you go to? I went to a Spanish church. It's like, what language do you speak? Just only English. I'm like, there's your problem.
Yeah.
So stuff like that takes them away.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it has to be like that.
So earlier this year, you took a sabbatical. What brought you to that place, and why did you think it was time to take a break?
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the reasons why I took a sabbatical is, mainly that right now is to focus on getting my credentials and license to be a pastor.
Pastor.
Yeah. To be a pastor, mainly to also help what I'm doing in my ministry wise as well. Specifically, helping churches. A lot of because right now it looks like what I do is more as a business to churches. So I really want to help reach churches that like no, it's not just a business, but this is also a ministry.
Right.
Like I'm not someone just trying to help churches. I know what it takes to be a pastor. I know the background, and we want to help as much as we can. To get your vision for the church out, even if it's for something small. So it's kind of I took a break because I was taking a lot of work, from all of that like work. I was like I'm a person like I can't do too much work. If I do a lot of work, I'm gonna forget about my personal self. I wanted to do that personally to just take a break as well to just enjoy it. I was going to events here and there, but I wasn't helping out as much. It was just to receive myself and prepare myself to all right. I'm taking all these courses to be a licensed credentialed pastor. So I want to just enjoy it for a moment until it gets busy again.
So you're officially an ordained minister, or
at this time I am a licensed
minister.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ordained is my next one.
Or you ordained.
Yeah.
That's all so awesome.
Yeah.
So Pastor Ismael.
Yeah. So that's So I wanted to do that more because that's my passion is to help churches. Even with the company too, it's to help. It's mainly started helping churches. Yeah, we want to help businesses as well. Like we help Christian businesses. I didn't even know when they said, "Hey, can you help us in our business?" And as I got to know more about them, like, oh, we're actually Christian. I was like, man, to help them out even more and to help churches more, like I think it's not just helping them, technically wise, but how can we also help and understand more on the, theological and biblical side of it too. So we know, okay, this is sound doctrine and how can we help? And even if they have questions too, it's like, or we're just not just a company. May is not just this company of just technical side, but like no, we know as well. Like we take pride and passion of actually reading the word and using that to help us in any way we can. So
lastly, because we're about to wrap up this interview, what is next for Ismael, and what do you plan to achieve in 2023?
2023, get married.
He said, "Are you single?"
At this moment, yes.
Oh, you hear that? He's on Christian Mingle, guys. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm joking. I make this joke with my mom. I was like, "What's next?" Or I'm like, "Get married, have kids, and within the next 3 months."
Oh, I don't know how you gonna do that.
I just like poking fun.
Yeah.
I just like poking fun with people. I'm like, "Aren't you just 21?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, I am not in a rush. But the next thing for me and myself is just keep expanding within the ministry and the business. And since I'm a licensed pastor, obviously getting more involved within my local church, helping them more. That's also one of my main goals. But more, you could say now be more on the pastoral side. I want to do that more this coming year in 2023. I have multiple goals. I have like business goals and I have personal goals.
That's good though.
My personal goal, obviously get more healthy, more fit, but it's also I try my best. I mean, surprisingly, I carry my backpack is 30 pounds.
Wow.
And my muscles, and I carry like 60 pounds on a daily, and I'm like, I guess I need to do more than
Get that protein.
Yeah, I guess I need more. It's just that fast metabolism. But I have personal goals, and obviously personal goals. Obviously, I hit my goal of being a licensed pastor. Now it's actually using that, and on the business goal, it's just expanding more, contracting more people, which I already do on the side. I contact people, but I officially want to. All right, let's get myself out from doing everything and just now becoming more. All right, how can I help people who are looking to expand in media and photography and all that editing? How can I just provide them an opportunity to not just learn, but to also get some money out of that for them? Because obviously create that career opportunity for them as well. So that's one of my goals. How can I create career opportunities for others.
Thank you, Ish, for
Thank you.
joining our part. Oh, you gonna leave me hanging? You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
You dab it, you know what I'm saying? All right, thank you for joining the podcast today, and thank you guys for watching. This is Ismael Paramo. Hit him up on Instagram. You need help with your media, you need help with your church's streaming software, anything with
Business.
media, photography, videography. This is the man to go to. But thank you all for watching. We are More Than a Minute podcast, and God bless.
God bless.